One peaceful evening turned into a nightmare he would never forget. In a hail of bullets and shattered glass, his world was ripped apart. Within seconds, they took everything from him: his family, his happiness, his entire world. But what they didn't know was that they had just created a man with nothing left to lose. And now he's not looking for justice, he's coming for revenge. The film begins with three men moving through a dense forest, hunting as they track their prey. Dale suddenly spots the target and chooses to separate from the others, getting ready to take the shot himself. Out of nowhere, a bald man appears, shoves Dale into a deep ravine, and kills him instantly. This mysterious figure is Ryan Varrett. He used to be a police officer and carries a deep grudge after his family was brutally murdered years ago. Dale was one of those killers, and after finishing him, Ryan sets his sights on a small town named Hope. The town is under the control of a ruthless motorcycle gang so powerful that even the sheriff fears them. Even with full knowledge of this, Ryan remains unfazed and continues toward Hope with a clear objective. On his way, he stops at a gas station to gather supplies and asks about a place to stay. The attendant Kirby tells him about the only motel in town, which is run by a young woman named Darcy. Because most people avoid Hope, Darcy's motel almost never sees any guests. When she meets Ryan, she is surprised that he would willingly come to such a dangerous place. Ryan calmly tells her that he has business to handle in the town. At the same time, FBI agent Frank is working with his team, planning how to capture Dale, who is known as both a killer and a dangerous rapist. During their discussion, another agent enters and informs them that Dale has already been found dead. The story then moves into a flashback from Ryan's past, back when he was still serving as a police officer. In this painful memory, Ryan is attending a party with his family and friends when a group of criminals suddenly storms in and opens fire. Bullets rain through the air, killing many people, including Ryan's loved ones. The attack is led by Drake Santiago, the gang's leader, who carries out the massacre out of hatred for police officers who once put him behind bars. Driven by deep anger, Drake targets those officers and their families for revenge. Ryan, who is one of his targets, barely survives the attack despite being shot. In the present, Ryan drives through the town and notices several motorcycles parked outside a building. One of the bikers steps out, irritated by a dog nearby that won't stop barking at him. Angered, he pulls out a gun, ready to shoot the dog. Before he can pull the trigger, Ryan suddenly steps in and stops him, taking him down and teaching him a harsh lesson. The noise of the fight grabs the attention of the other gang members inside. They quickly come out to see what is going on, including their leader, Drake Santiago. However, Drake does not recognize Ryan. Given the number of people Drake has killed, this comes as no surprise. Even though Ryan has beaten one of his men, Drake chooses to ignore it for now, as he has more important matters to deal with. However, Ryan's presence continues to trouble Drake, leading him to order his younger brother, Rexo, to secretly keep an eye on the bald stranger. The following morning, Rexo meets Drake and reports that a club owner in town has refused to pay their protection fees. Furious upon hearing this, Drake decides to confront the club owner. By challenging him to a one-round boxing match, he makes a bold promise. If the man manages to win, Drake will never demand protection money from him again. Despite his age, Drake still holds incredible strength and easily overpowers his opponent, a large man, during the fight. However, instead of continuing to punish him, Drake chooses to spare his life, knowing he still needs the protection money. After all, dead men don't pay debts, and the gang's income doesn't come only from protection fees, as they also earn heavily from other illegal operations, including running meth labs in the area. Still, even while managing his criminal empire, Drake does not forget to keep a close watch on Ryan. That same evening, Rexo arrives at Darcy's motel and asks if a bald man named Ryan is staying there. Darcy refuses to give any information, which angers Rexo and pushes him to start making threats. He warns her that he will make her life miserable if she doesn't reveal where Ryan is. At that moment, Ryan, who is inside the motel, overhears everything and decides to step in using force after seeing Rexo get taken down. Darcy, clearly worried, tells Ryan that Rexo is not just any man. He is Drake's younger brother, the ruthless leader of the motorcycle gang that controls the entire town. She warns that Drake will definitely come for revenge once he learns his brother has been harmed, but Ryan remains completely unconcerned. He drags Rexo to the gang's drug lab, ties him to a car, and sends the vehicle crashing straight into the lab. A massive explosion follows, destroying the entire lab and killing Rexo in the fire. Ryan walks away, satisfied that his plan has worked. Not long after, Drake and his gang learn about the explosion and rush to the scene in panic. But by the time they arrive, all they can do is watch as the lab burns completely. When they find Rexo's body, Drake is filled with rage as he realizes his brother is dead. Soon after the blast, the sheriff and a deputy reach the scene to investigate. Drake's gang is still present, and as soon as Drake sees the sheriff, he walks up and threatens him. Without hesitation, he warns that if the sheriff tries to interfere with their operations, he will kill his entire family. Terrified, the sheriff chooses to stay silent. In his mind, however, a hidden plan begins to take shape. He believes that by letting the gang continue unchecked, he might be able to avoid even worse violence in The town. The next day, Ryan sets his sights on a gang truck that is transporting meth to another city. He quietly follows the vehicle, then secretly deflates one of its tires, forcing the driver to stop and step out. The moment the driver gets out, Ryan strikes quickly, slamming his head against the truck's door. Without wasting a second, he then destroys the truck, causing it to burst into flames. One of the gang members witnesses the explosion and quickly reports it to Drake. When Drake learns that the truck was carrying a large amount of meth, he becomes furious, realizing he has lost a huge amount of money. Driven by anger, he becomes determined to find the person responsible and begins to suspect Ryan. To confirm his suspicion, Drake orders his men to bring Kirby to the gang's base. There, he tells Kirby to investigate Ryan and uncover his true identity. If Ryan is behind the attack, Drake makes it clear he will kill him without hesitation. Terrified and with no way out, Kirby reluctantly agrees to follow Drake's orders. Later that same day, Kirby starts looking into Ryan. He checks Ryan's car, which is parked near the motel, hoping to find anything that reveals his background. While searching the vehicle, Ryan suddenly walks out of the motel and catches Kirby in the act. Feeling nervous, Kirby quickly invites Ryan to his house for a drink, which is located not far from the motel, but Ryan is not easy to fool. As soon as they arrive at Kirby's house, Ryan directly asks why Kirby was going through his car. Under pressure, Kirby confesses that Drake forced him to gather information about him. Just as Kirby finishes speaking, they hear the sound of a motorcycle stopping outside. One of Drake's men, known as Crab, shows up and challenges Ryan. The fight ends quickly, and despite Crab's strength, Ryan defeats him with ease. However, Ryan chooses not to kill him and lets him go. At the same time, continues his investigation and meets with the police chief. During their conversation, Drake discovers an important fact. Ryan is not an ordinary man. He is a former police officer who left the force after his family was murdered. After getting this valuable information, Drake thanks the police chief and hands him some money. That very night, Drake and his men go to Kirby's house while he is asleep. When Drake realizes that Kirby failed to find anything useful about Ryan, he is deeply disappointed. As punishment, he orders one of his henchmen the next morning. Ryan finds out that Kirby is dead. After learning that Drake's gang is responsible, he decides not to waste any more time. He immediately heads to one of Drake's clubs and easily takes down all the gang members there. After that, he captures Crab, throws him into the trunk of his car, and coldly kills him. Ryan then leaves Crab's body right in front of the gang's headquarters as a warning. When Drake finds out about the death of his close henchman, he is consumed by rage. He orders all his remaining men to gather and arm themselves, determined to hunt down Ryan no matter what. Later that night, while at the inn, Darcy hears strange noises coming from outside. She quickly stands up from her chair and grabs her handgun, ready to face whoever is there. However, Ryan instantly recognizes that it is his enemy and quickly tells Darcy to hide behind the desk to stay safe. A few minutes later, the front door slowly creaks open as Drake's men step inside. Ryan waits patiently until they move close enough. Once they are within range, he signals Darcy to switch off the lights. Darkness suddenly fills the room and gunshots explode through the silence like thunder. When Darcy turns the lights back on, she is left in shock. Every gang member lies dead on the floor. Ryan stands unharmed, but he quickly realizes the place is no longer safe. Without delay, he takes Darcy with him and decides to find another place to hide. But Ryan fails to notice that his enemies are already waiting outside. Suddenly, they rush in, attack him, and beat him until he loses consciousness. When Ryan regains awareness, he finds himself tied up at the gang's headquarters, with Darcy captured as well. His arms are tightly bound to a chair, leaving him unable to move. Drake stands in front of him and coldly declares that both Ryan and Darcy will die. But first, Darcy will be tortured. He then orders one of his henchmen to deal with Ryan while he steps into the next room. The large man assigned to torture Ryan begins beating him brutally, but unexpectedly, Ryan manages to free his hands from the ropes and fights back. He quickly overwhelms the man and knocks him down. Without wasting a moment, Ryan moves through the ship, which serves as the gang's base. He confronts Drake's men who try to stop him, but each one is easily taken down. Eventually, Ryan locates Darcy. She is tied up with tape tightly covering her mouth. Ryan quickly frees her, and together they look for a way to escape the ship. However, Drake has no intention of letting them leave so easily. Ryan realizes this is the moment to face Drake in a final confrontation. He tells Darcy to go and prepares himself to face his enemy alone. Before the fight begins, Drake coldly reveals that he remembers Ryan, the cop whose family he had killed. He admits he believed Ryan had died in that attack. Their one-on-one fight begins and quickly turns into a brutal battle. Although Drake is strong, Ryan proves to be stronger and eventually defeats him. Knocking him down, believes the fight is over. But despite being beaten, Drake suddenly pulls back, grabs a knife, and attempts to strike Ryan from behind. At that exact moment, FBI agent Frank arrives and shoots Drake, killing him. Just before he can harm Ryan, the FBI sees this as their chance to finally end the terror Drake's gang brought upon the town. Frank chooses not to arrest Ryan, believing that people like him are still needed. Ryan leaves the town, telling Frank that they will meet again someday. The story ends there. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next video.